That's
Russ
bad.
going in back?
No, his knees.
His knees?
One knee.
I haven't, I talked to him, Brad said he thought he might be able to come back, we don't know yet.
I saw Russ at the district VFW meeting.
Yeah.
Right. He's the judge advocate, no, the officer of day, and
Yeah, officer.
something like that.
We went to high school together.
He's crazy as all get out.
We went to high school together. He was our graduating class.
Oh, you did graduate? All right.
Largest class.
Silence their phones.
I like that chair, man.
Is that what your phone did?
Right there.
Okay.
You like it?
Almost. Kill it. Unless you expect an emergency, kill it.
Nobody ever calls me.
Listen to when they do.
Not even the car repair place, the extended warranty place.
Well, get letters, maybe we should have used the other one.
I get both.
Nobody calls her, you must be one hell of a good man.
Need the order? Don't need the pledge of allegiance? Allegiance.
To
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Keith, would you deliver?
You do prayer first.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Oh, on.
Uncover.
Oh God, our Supreme Commander, we pray that you will be with us in our time and guide us in our work at this meeting. Grant us the wisdom to seek you in your will that we all have that undertake, and the courage to follow the direction you would have us go in seeking to serve our God and country. May our efforts be of benefit to our fellow veterans and the people of our community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call for the floor. Officers and directors.
President Ronnie Hicks,
Here.
Earl Watts, First Vice President,
Present.
Mark Nelson, Second Vice, Kate, President, Ken Morales, Treasurer,
Present.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Present.
Vern Leclerc, Agent.
Here.
Ron Swaim,
Yeah.
Donald Shire,
Present.
Mike Harbison, not here, and Wayne Abel is not here. Six. Sir, we have 9 officers present, and the VAC superintendent.
have enough members for quorum. Need consideration and approval of the February 1st, 2022 executive board meeting.
The minutes are coming around from February, so, yeah, it's coming around. I
Oh,
forgot
it's just on the moment.
to take a few minutes, everybody read them. This is from February 1st.
Oh, that's right, we had that extra quarterly in there. Thank you, sir.
Did you declare it quorum? You did.
Guys, so I don't have to ask who it is. Would you make a motion, say your name, so I can just write real quick,
Okay.
please? Thank you.
You might need more time.
So I can scribble it real quick. My scribbling.
I can read you, but I can't read mine. Recutting, Ronnie?
Just replace April.
I'll make a motion that the minutes be,
Everybody done? Anybody need more time?
The proposed minutes of the February 1st executive board meetings have been passed out after consideration and approval.
I'll make a motion that the minutes be approved as written.
I second it.
Larry, second.
Any discussion? No discussions, have roll call?
No,
No roll call?
it's already made. He made a motion. Who seconded it, Larry?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. Consideration and approval of the financial report.
Everybody have a copy of the financial report? I think I only made 16 or so copies. There should be a couple extra copies if we might need some down at the end. Here you go. Vern, pass down another copy. One? Okay. Broken down into two categories. Administrative expenses is the top part. Category, it gives you the blurb of what administrative expenses are. Contractual services of $12,487.50. Service contracts of $112.67 for a total of $12,617. Next section is the financial assistance. Excuse me. 11 veterans assisted, 28 vouchers issued. Right below that breaks it down by the townships that were assisted, that had the veterans residing in them, for a total of $7,217.52. The next page is just a breakdown of that same amount, but by category. Next column, other financial assistance, outreach events cost $742.50. Right below that, total remaining balances by account types. We have two accounts, administrative, $279,124.83. Aid to vets, $119,581.32. And our checking account, $841.41, and the other checking account of $6,415.97. Any questions over the April expenditures?
Is there a limit as to how much a veteran can get in a month?
it depends, so, it depends on what type of assistance. So if they have an income, right now we work over 200% of poverty level. So, say a veteran has $1,000 in income, 200% of federal poverty level is $2,000, then, you know, their income's deducted out of that, and that's the cap on the emergency assistance side. If they have no income, and they need help, then they fall underneath interim, and then it's based off what's called the standard of need. And the standard of need for one person is $647, I believe, and it goes up there by the number of dependents or household members. So.
I'm just curious, you know.
Yeah, it varies.
Thank you.
It's just for the April report,
Yes.
so we're gonna get a monthly report now instead of a quarterly report, or what?
This is the April, the monthly report.
Yeah, so we're gonna get a month-to-month report, or we're gonna get a every 3 months like they done before, they started out in 3 months.
That was, the quarterly reports are done at the quarterly meeting.
So we are gonna get a monthly report, right?
This is the monthly report.
Yeah, month-to-month. We'll get one next month, May.
Yeah, we always have.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
Ask for consideration and approval of the financial report.
Ken Morales, I'll make a motion.
Ron Swaim, second.
Discussion, we already had it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Ayes, carried. Information and activity deemed to be of interest to the commission since the last board meeting.
So, this has been an ongoing thing, so, like, where do we get our numbers, how are the checks processed, this has come up again and again. Everything that we have that I'm gonna show you underneath items A and B, if you can draw your attention to the TV, if you can't see, then we'll buy you a new TV, a bigger one. So, item A, so we have two, no matter which side you look at it, when we make a payment, somebody makes a request, right, for a payment, which is what you guys primarily know of as an invoice. And for legal speak, it's a warrant. And then the warrant is verified by me as being a valid purchase or an invoice. I review it, I sign the warrant, and then the way it's supposed to work and should work is it gets sent to the treasurer verifies we have the money in the treasury, and then the check's cut. Here in Madison County, it works a little bit backwards. The check request goes to the auditor first. The auditor does whatever they do, verifies it, cuts the check, and then it gets added to what's called the Madison County Auditor Check Register. This is public information. This is not created by me. It has nothing to do with the VAC. There was a lawsuit in 2018 and 19, and it was a lawsuit about having open and accessible a check register. There were some officials that wanted to have unfettered access to the check register via their office, right? And they wanted to be able to look into other, I guess, departments or business of the county where they might not have been privy to that information or had any business being in there. So that lawsuit, I think, was settled out in 2019. This is kind of what came out of it, I guess, was the public check register. And then after that time, I think the agreement was that if another county elected official wanted to look at the official register and look at something, then they had to get approval, and then I think there was a computer terminal that they agreed to have set up at the auditor's office, and they would have to go through a series of verifications and see if they could have access to that information. So every warrant, once it's signed by me, is placed on the check register. So once the auditor receives the request, then it gets placed, I guess, in the queue to have the check cut. it has our invoice number that's assigned to it, so we can refer back if we ever wanted to see, for example, I'm just looking at 911 here. This is not ours, so Ken has had the opportunity to get in there and play around, right, over the last month and a half, maybe a month.
Yep.
You know, if you want to see whoever's bills for the entire county, they're all here for public consumption, right? And you go all the way down, and the veterans are at the bottom, alphabetical. Then you can sort it by our 2 accounts. Well, there's more accounts there, but the 2 accounts are the administrative expenses and the aid vet. And then if you wanted to go and do a specific search, so if you wanted to see what the bills were for the last week, if we had any, you can type in last week, month, weeks, or days, last year, next year. I don't know why there would be anything next year, but year to date. This usually works within so all checks, check requests, or all warrants are sent up either by Wednesday or Friday. If they're sent up by Wednesday, the check's cut and distributed and available Wednesday. If a warrant's sent up on a Friday, the check is cut, distributed, and available the following Wednesday. Checks are picked up at the auditor's office, they're mailed out. I just gave you guys your mileage, same process. Go down and look at all, breaks it down by the 2 accounts. Like here's all the mileage that, I don't know if everybody can see that, I don't know if I can enlarge it. Yeah, that's not gonna help. You can download this information into spreadsheets, and then you can manipulate it even more with Excel. I think that was the way it was described. You will notice back then, part of the argument made by not only us, but child advocacy, drug seizures, I guess state's attorney, and different things that don't need to be disclosed to the public, right? So one of our issues was having the veterans who were receiving financial assistance, their names being disclosed in the public register and being targeted potentially as somebody who was needing assistance in a certain community. But we have all that information in the background. The disclaimer down at the bottom, same thing with child advocacy. You know, if they're helping a kid that was abused, you of course don't want that kid's name released on the public register. Same way with the jury. Like I said, I'm not familiar with all those other departments, but from what I read there was an attorney that fought, that was handled outside of the county. Just look up 2019 Federal Check Register, Madison County, and you'll be able to read the whole case history. The jury, of course, like the courts, they don't want the jury list published, right? Of the people who received mileage checks that were coming to do jury duty. So those are just some of the things. But then once the check's cut, then within 3 to 5 days it shows up on the public check register. So any one of you guys, it's always been like this since 2019, and before that we used to bring in, it's the same, all we do is take the data from here that's put into a database before this, and then we put it on a nice report like this for the financial report. So we put the heading on it so you know what the different counts are. So this is the check register. Anybody can go in here at any time and see, you know, I mean, it's not going to give you their addresses and stuff like that, but you can see all the different payments, not only for our office, but for every other office except those ones that I just talked about down below. This is so with the passage of the new amendment to the Military Veterans Assistance Act, we have to approve the bills in between. The way the act reads is basically the commission approves the bills, right? But if in between the quarterly meetings, you have to get business done. So this is Ken's he has available to this, he can go in and review it. If he has questions, he can call up and say, hey, what's going on here, or what's going on here? Or, in the in-between, you guys get this report, but you guys can go there and see the bills in real time. Okay? Any questions over that? Like I said, I don't know anything outside of what I just explained, but this is a good resource for you.
See where the money's going next.
That's right. And it's always been there. It's,
Yeah.
and so, and like I said, if you get in here and play around, you can do other stuff. Then where does this go? At the end of the year, all of these, this is audited in real time. However, the auditor, whatever protocols or whatever they do to audit. Item B is the financial reports. So, once again, auditors, you can go to the auditor's website, go to the financial reports. Here's all the financial reports for the entire county. At the end of the year, they produce what's called the CAFR, or the Consolidated Comprehensive Financial Report. This is the general ledger for the previous year, so it goes back, I assume the check register that we just seen pulls into the general ledger. The auditor compiles the report, then it's sent over to, is it Sheffel Boyle? Is that right? Am I saying that right? The accounting firm locally, right? They're the outside independent auditor, I guess, that verifies the county books. That is placed on the comprehensive report, and then that's approved and passed. So, many of you guys may have wondered how all this works. That's kind of the quick run of the process. Any questions over any of that I could answer?
Hearing none, we'll move on to the next business, unfinished or old business.
So, the other thing that came out of the Military Veterans Assistance Act is that the full commission has to approve the annual budget. But the way the county works is that the county doesn't start pushing out the budget worksheets or the packet until like into July or until August, which is after our second quarter meeting. So now we have to back up. So now we are preparing a preliminary budget based on projections of what we think next year's budget request will be. So right now we are working on that. That will come due. We will have it available, the preliminary budget for the executive board to review, to consider it, and then move it forward to the full commission for consideration in June. Now, the difficulty is what happens in between June and the county getting the budget packets out and then it going before the county board for passage. So we have to build in, we have all of our historical requests, so we can kind of tell year to year. On our aid to vet side, we've never raised that budget from $158,000 since I've been here. And we've always been able to help all of the veterans that made the request using that budget. So the Military Veterans Assistance Act changed last year, and then that is the .02 minimum, but the board, the commission, I mean, can make a request to take less, which we did last year. We didn't have to do it last year because the budget process came before the passage of the new act. So, that is the thing, so that'll be presented. And you guys may have remembered in the past, it was done, all I did was go to all these reports, different spreadsheets that were pushed out to the different departments, and we made projections. It's the same process, and then what I did to simplify it, which actually was an extra step last year and every year before that, is I would take all that information and put it on a PowerPoint. You guys may have remembered, some of you guys have been around, we used to do the PowerPoint presentation with all of the projections and all of that on there. Well, that was an extra step. Last year was the last year we did that. Now we're just going straight to the budget request and budget review based off of the projections from the auditor's reports and the different things that the county's going through as far as the budget process. Item B, this has been out there too. We've talked about it. I think Earl brought it up last month. When is this going to happen? Well, it's happened in between the last executive board meeting and this executive board meeting. The trailer bill or the Military Veterans Assistance Act was passed and signed, and that sent the kind of trigger to begin the process of reviewing the bylaws and making sure they align up with the new Military Veterans Assistance Act. I think I expressed it over the last few months that I am not a lawyer, so I didn't partake into that process, and I didn't want to give any perception that it was, me that was driving that train. So we've had that discussion, going back for the last 3-4 months. So there'll be a preliminary review or alignment, review of the bylaws with comments based on what the executive board's function under the new role of the MVAA is. And then also, I'm sure that that'll bleed over into the commission responsibilities, which is it's really outside of the budget stuff that I just talked about. That was a big change in there. So those things like that will be discussed. The bylaws are going to be just like the budget. They'll be distributed and then come back at it, I think, in September before the full commission. In between months is when
Thank you.
in between months is when the commission will have time to review the law, look at the bylaws, ask questions, make suggestions, and bring it back in September.
Question,
Yes.
who's on the bylaws committee and who appointed the bylaws committee? And with the bylaws, are you having anybody to come in to go over these bylaws with these people? None of us on here is no lawyers to understand what the bylaws are and whether or not we're doing it as to what the state says we're supposed to do. Do we have anybody that's gonna do that?
So I just addressed part of that. This is that process that I just went through is that process. We couldn't take it out or carry it out before now because it wasn't signed into law. So it didn't make sense for us to draft a whole set of bylaws based on a law that was still up in the air. And then it passed. So then once the governor signed it, then that kicked off the next step, which we are at now, Earl. So it didn't make any sense for us to do that. It will be brought, like I said, before the executive board, according to item B next month. And then you'll be able to look at the law, and you'll be able to line up in the bylaws where it fits. So that will be carried out beginning next month. And then in June, the draft bylaws will be distributed to the full commission for consideration for 3 months, and then it will be brought before the September commission for discussion, approval, or to kick it down the road more.
Who's gonna be distinguishing?
The other part of your question. Once the law passed that the governor just signed, there cannot be any subcommittees of the commission. So it should go straight to the commission in June. So there's no subcommittee meeting to review these bylaws. It's just a legal review that is based off of the law that the lawyer's carrying out.
So who's gonna be the subcommittee, who's gonna be the non-for-profit committee, and whether or not there's the board, who's gonna separate all of these to where we know where we stand? It seemed to me it's like an overlaps of some of these, what the Non-Corporation Act stands for, and the commission, and the executive board. There's a difference in all three of them.
To answer your question, there can be no subcommittees of the commission right, that takes action, you guys, well, like I said, when you come in next month, that will be the time for the executive board to learn their role underneath the new MVAA. And then in June, the full commission will be presented the bylaws, and then that is the roles of the commission. So that's when those two things will take place, Earl. There's no subcommittees anymore. There can't be a subcommittee. You guys can get together and meet and talk outside it, but there can't be any subcommittee that takes any action. So,
I think I might have read it wrong then, I thought you could.
yeah, so next month, that would be the time for you to ask that question.
Yeah.
And then in June, like I said,
And I thought in the new law that you could have subcommittees and it had to be,
Oh.
you know,
it can only be part from the commission. The full commission would have to direct that. Not the executive board.
who is the commission?
All of the delegates and alternates.
Right. Okay.
Any other questions?
Under new business,
We gotta get to the, we're not to the public comment yet, sorry.
the officers and the directors, if they wish to be recognized for the purpose of any new business that the executive board needs to address. Issues pertaining to personal matters, religion, or partisan politics will not be tolerated. Ron, do you have anything?
Not tonight, not yet. Okay?
Moving on to the Open Meeting Act, opportunity for the public address.
Steve, first question, so if I'm understanding this correctly, that we're gonna get the bylaws, and basically, we're gonna see this in June, and it's gonna be in one meeting, we're gonna sit down and read all the bylaws, be like, take it or leave it, sign it, because it sounds like it's the first time we're gonna be able to see the bylaws.
Bylaws are on a website.
Yeah.
Are they?
And
Okay.
you'll have 3 months.
Okay.
So once we bring them before the full commission,
Okay.
then they'll be posted, and you guys will have copies to take back to your post, and
Okay.
and then it'll be out there for 3 months,
Okay.
and then in June,
September.
yeah, September. Thank you.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Steve.
Second question on a veteran issue. One of the things that's, something that's come up to me on my post number 1308. I have individuals who have redacted 214s. And it seems to be a case of, I've worked this in the past when I've worked in Michigan. There seems to be no established process in which we can partner with politicians to get these guys the proper status that they have. Because obviously with a redacted file, you can't verify, we can't verify. And the individual says he's come to this committee before to ask this. I think that we should probably look at that as far as a future thing we should look at for people who have redacted files, so that we pull it, because it went through and I had to get Senator Stabenow at the time to help me get into that. Keep that, but something I wanted to bring it up because it's happened several times in the past, and we're often overlooked until something happens like this. It happened to me, I got a guy again this week. I figured that maybe this may be slightly off topic, but I wanted to bring it up because it was hit just before I got here.
So it's weird, but I can address it a little bit, but unredacted, when you say unredacted, there's like member one, there's multiple copies of the DD 214 that's issued when the service member discharges. Whether member one usually member one along with one of the other member copies gets sent to the archives.
Right.
Member one is the unredacted one. All the other ones are the only difference between redacted and unredacted is the bottom block that says the character of service,
Right.
type of discharge. That's the only thing that's different. So maybe I'm not understanding what, maybe is unredacted different
than
than?
overseas service. The service, if they're in an area that was under we weren't supposed to be there,
Yeah.
i.e. Vietnam War, he was in that during time frame. His file, it shows a black line, and it happened because I had a guy, Sergeant Matthews, the guy helped in Michigan. His file for his stuff he did, secret squirrel stuff, is all blacked out. On his personal 214, he says he's going to get a copy of it. Too bad. I mean,
Yeah,
metal, he said metals even are redacted. They got black lines through it, but they're signed by a 3-star, so they let it go through. So,
My understanding, that's the National Archives issue or wherever the DD-214's at, but I can definitely help you get,
okay,
try
that'd be
to
great. We
access
can
it.
talk offline, but I wanted to bring it up because it's something that the guy
Yeah.
just before got there. And I think the guy's, you know, he deserves to get the respect to get.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry to get off topic, I just, my mind works like a squirrel, so.
That's a good topic, never mind.
Yeah.
Should be.
Yes, sir.
A couple issues. Number one, Chairman, thanks for running the meeting tonight. Number two, where in the new act did you come up with there can't be any committees or subcommittees? I mean, because I have the new act right here in front of me, and it doesn't say that. It does say, all undertakings or actions taken by the commission shall require a vote from a majority of the full commission membership. No committee or other subgroups of delegates and alternates formed by the commission. That sentence right there tells you can form committees and subgroups. Matter of fact, the executive board is a committee or a subgroup of the commission. So if you can't have a subgroup or a committee, why you have an executive board meeting? But it says, no committee or other subgroup of delegates and alternates formed by the commission, whether selected or appointed, may be granted the power or authority to act in place of or on behalf of the full body of the duly selected or appointed commission membership. What that means is you can have a bylaw committee to draft bylaws, but neither that committee nor the executive board has the power to approve those bylaws. That has to go to the full commission. Just like hiring an attorney has to go to the full commission. Hiring a superintendent has to go to the full commission. Anything, nobody but the full commission can approve doing anything. You can always appoint committees to do the medial stuff, research, come up with drafts, and they can recommend the drafts to the full commission. So I don't know where you came up with that, but it's 100% wrong. Now on to I'm hoping you're going to iron out the complying with the county's procurement ordinance. That is a requirement. It's not that you can't say it doesn't apply to the VAC because it's a new law and we could change it. That's not what it says. You have to comply with the county's, all the county's ordinances, including procurement. And the last thing, and I understand bills need to be paid between full commission meetings. And maybe that's where this section 9H in the new law needs amended. Because according to section 9H, I'll read it word for word, no warrant authorized under this act may be issued for payment of money without the presentation of an itemized statement or claim approved by the superintendent of the commission and reported to the full commission membership. To me, reading that, it has to be reported to the full commission membership before the warrant can be issued for payment of money. I know that's asinine to do it that way. I was not part of that portion of changing this statute, I'll guarantee you that.
But it's not the only part.
But that part, I understand needs to change, and maybe the full commission needs to authorize the superintendent's reporting of these warrants via email in between the full commission meeting. Because it doesn't say and approved by the full commission, it just says reported to the full commission. And I think that's a way to get around that. Instead of waiting every 3 months presenting the bills, you could mail it to them or email it to them.
That's what we just went over.
Yeah, but that's not
We need to move along.
that's not presenting it to the full commission. So if you could maybe think about emailing all the warrants prior to issuing the payment, that would suffice under that section of the new statute. That's my opinion. I'm not an attorney. Thanks for listening.
I got that out of section 11H. You referenced 9?
Was that 11?
Yes.
It was 9H.
I got 11H, so that's why I was kind of confused. Maybe I've got an earlier version or whatever.
Section 11 was repealed. You must be looking at the old one.
Is there anyone else that'd like to make comment?
You want to look at it? You want a copy of the new one?
Yeah, I just want to see the
Yeah, it
top.
says section 11 was repealed. It's in 9H now. You can keep it.
I make a motion for adjourn.
You got a call.
I thought he just did, okay.
You're not on way through the letter.
I have a motion
The
to,
agenda lit.
I have a motion to adjourn. Ron,
And you went to new
Right.
business yet?
Yeah, we've been to new business. Yes, I make a motion with adjourn.
I'll second it.
all those in favor?